The Tabernacle. The object. The Mishkan, tabernacle or tent of meeting, was the portable earthly dwelling place of the God of Israel, used by the Israelites from the Exodus until the time of the conquest of Canaan. Then 440 years later, Solomon's temple in Jerusalem superseded it as the dwelling place of God. Surrounding the tabernacle was its outer courtyard, which measured 75 feet wide and 150 feet long, and was enclosed by a fence. What it taught. The tabernacle was where heaven and earth met, a sacred space where God dwelled. However, the Exodus tabernacle was not the first. Rather, it reflected the Garden of Eden, where God resided with Adam and Eve, with the tree of life at its center. Tragically, after the first sin, humans were banned from Eden, God's presence, and the blessings of the tree of life. Cherubim, warrior angels wielding a flaming sword, guarded the entrance. As a result, sinful humans could no longer enter the presence of holy God. The rest of the Old Testament is about God's rescue mission to undo this great tragedy so that humans could once again enter God's presence. The Exodus tabernacle pointed back to the Garden of Eden and was a preview of the future incarnation of the Messiah. Exodus 40 reflects the language of the creation story in Genesis 1 and the Garden of Eden. In the tabernacle, God again resided with his people. How it pointed to Christ. Later, Jesus was the literal fulfillment of the tabernacle. In his gospel account, the Apostle John wrote, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." The word dwelt reflects the idea of a tabernacle dwelling. Jesus came to tabernacle among us. Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. Lessons for today. This elaborate and intricate tabernacle was the physical representation of God's house on earth. Every aspect of God's house taught about him and how he interacts with his people. God designed the tabernacle as his great wilderness classroom. Its structure stressed that sin separates humanity from God. Its sacrifices portrayed the principle of substitutionary atonement and pointed to the Messiah. Its sights, sounds, and smells preached a consistent and continual lesson of sin and redemption. Each object in the tabernacle had its designed and essential purpose of providing and pointing to God's promise to rescue and restore his people through the Messiah. Let's step inside the tabernacle fence and examine the first object.